Hi, first grade. It is time to read some Magic Tree House. When we last left Jack and Annie, they had landed in this town that was very empty in the Wild West. And then they found this store that had some cowboy hats and cowboy boots, and they decided to try them on. If you didn't listen to my story yesterday, make sure you go and find that video first. I posted it a little bit late. My computer was being kind of tricky towards me. So we're going to keep reading. We are on chapter 3 now, which is called Player Piano. What's that? Annie said. Piano music. Maybe it's the voice in the riddle. Come on. Jack threw his sneakers into his backpack and hobbled after Annie in his cowboy boots. Outside, the sad tune played on. It's coming from there, said Annie. She crept towards a building that had a sign with the word hotel on it. Jack limped after her. Annie slowly pushed open a swinging door, and they peeked inside. The fading daylight lit a piano in the corner of the room. The keys were moving up and down, but no one was there. Yikes! Whispered Annie. A ghost playing the piano! There's the piano. These are called the keys of the piano, and they're moving up and down like somebody is playing them, except nobody's there playing the piano. Yikes, whispered Annie, a ghost playing the piano. Suddenly, the keys were still. The air got very cold. No way, said Jack. There's no such thing as ghosts. We saw one in ancient Egypt, remember? Said Annie. Yeah, but that was ancient Egypt. Even so, Jack's heart raced. I'll look it up, said Jack, and he pulled out the Wild West book. He found a picture of a piano. He read aloud. Player pianos were popular in the Old West. The piano automatically played when someone pumped its floor pedals. Later, with the help of electricity, the piano played all by itself. Whew, Jack closed the book. I knew there was an answer. It must be electric, and somehow it turned on. I didn't know they had electricity in the Wild West, said Annie. They didn't, said Jack. He looked at Annie. Oh, man, let's get out of here. Jack and Annie backed out of the hotel. When they got outside, they heard another sound, horse hooves thumping against the hard ground. A cloud of dust seemed to be moving towards the town. As it got closer, Jack saw 3 riders. They were herding a small band of horses, so they see 3 people riding on horses. Hide, Jack said. Where? Said Annie. Jack looked around wildly. He saw 2 barrels outside the hotel. A barrel is like this container. He saw 2 barrels outside the hotel. Jack and Annie hurried into the empty barrels. Jack climbed inside one and tried to scrunch down. His hat wouldn't fit. He jumped out of the barrel and threw his hat into the hotel. Mine too, said Annie. Jack grabbed hers and threw it. Then he scrambled back into the barrel. Whew, just in time. Jack heard the horses thunder into town. He peeked through a crack in the barrel and saw a blur of cowboys and horses go by. Whoa, whoa, men shouted. Jack heard the horses coming to a halt. They were stamped and snorted. All he could see were shadows through the crack. Dust was covering Jack. He really had to sneeze. He pinched his nose. The creek bed must have dried up. Oh, the creek bed must have dried up, a cowboy yelled. This town's a ghost. Yup, gives me the shivers, said another. Let's camp over the rise. Jack really had to sneeze now. He pinched his nose tighter, but he couldn't stop. He was about to sneeze. He let out a choked achoo! What was that? Someone said. Just then, a loud whinny split the air. Whinny split the air. Jack saw a beautiful horse rear up. She had no rider and no saddle, just a rope around her neck. She was as red as the sunset. She had a wild black mane and a white star above her eyes. We can't keep fighting this one, boss, a cowboy yelled. Yup, she wants her colts, another said. We shouldn't have left him behind. So here's Jack and Annie. They're hiding in the barrels. And here's the horse that they think is very beautiful that they see. These are all the cowboys. Do you think that the cowboys heard Jack sneeze from in the barrel? He was too slow. Oh, and her colt that they're talking about, I think, is this horse's baby got left behind. He was too slow, a growly voice said. We'll sell her when we cross the border. That's terrible, thought Jack. He knew Annie must be upset too. He just hoped that she wouldn't jump out of her barrel. But the cowboys pulled the red horse away. The ground rang from the pounding of the hooves as they galloped off. Jack and Annie stood up. They watched the riders disappear into the dust. The pounding faded away. All was quiet again, except for the lazy buzzing buzz of flies in the air. They were mean to that horse, Annie said in a low, angry voice. I know, but there was nothing we could do, said Jack. His boots were killing him. He climbed out of his barrel. Man, I have got to get these off. Jack sat on the porch and grabbed one foot of his boot and pulled. Jack, said Annie, I think there is something we can do. What? Jack looked up. A small horse was running down the road. He was as red as the wild mother horse. He had the same black mane and a white star above his eyes. A rope was around his neck, and he looked very lost. Who do you think that horse is? Do you think that the small horse that Jack and Annie see is this mommy horse's baby? I wonder if it might be. Okay, first grade, that's where we're going to stop for now. The next chapter is chapter 4, and it's called Hands Up. So we will see what happens with Jack and Annie tomorrow. Thanks for reading with me. Goodbye.